Hello, everybody. Welcome to our second episode of Beyond the Horns. Today, we're going to take a deep dive into Vega, Webull's AI-powered trading assistant. I'm joined by Jack Keating, CEO of Webull Technology and Global Compliance Officer.
Thanks, Dakota. Excited to be here. We'll get into Vega, one of our most exciting products at Webull, and do a deep dive.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to get into it more with you. This process has been very long, very carefully planned, and I think we've done a great job of not only offering something that all of our traders can use to learn more, find more opportunities, but we've done it in the right way so the approach is very safe, very compliant.
There we go. Following the rules. I'm head of compliance at Webull, so that's a big part of my job. Embracing new technology, bringing investors the best-in-class experience, while also following FINRA and securities regs has been a challenge, but it's an exciting part of the role, and we're excited with where Vega is today and breaking new ground in some areas.
Yeah, it's been pretty amazing to be a part of the whole process because of how fast the AI space moves in general with our competitors that are offering products like ChatGPT and Claude. They have pretty Wild West type of opportunity where we have to stay within a very defined boundary on either side of what we can offer. But I'm really excited to give people a look under the hood at kind of what we've been able to produce.
Sure. And I've had the pleasure of working with you on the project from day one. So, Webull has a claim to fame. I believe we were the first audit that FINRA, our regulator, did over AI. And we had the benefit of working with them, kind of thinking through how legacy rules apply to this new technology. Some give and take, so kind of open dialogue with them. And now, as like you're saying, these models have expanded at a really rapid pace and their capabilities grow. We want to reflect that onto our product, and we've been able to take those principles and try to apply it down the line.
Yeah, one of the more important things for me in creating the idea behind Vega and implementing it was starting with a framework with compliance. So rather than an afterthought that we need to make sure that this product is compliant, it was more, how do we build a compliant response system into the bones of Vega?
Yeah, and as a compliance officer, I love when product are thinking about compliance. It means we're doing our job on the training and education side. With the AI, we've found a lot of different use cases. I think from summarizing news articles to doing reports on earnings to the current implementation of Vega today, which really can be customer specific and give you insights into a more in-depth and personalized experience. So the growth and sophistication of the tool, compliance has been there at each step of the way, trying to provide guardrails on how to utilize the AI, but also how to monitor it.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note that back to the idea that AI is kind of the Wild West. It's like an open frontier. There are so many opportunities for us to provide different use cases for clients, whether they're options trading or just regular equities trading or just starting out their investment journey. So can you tell us a little bit about why it's so important to embed a compliant thought into those responses rather than just open-ended, this is what you should buy and when?
Sure. So the Webull, as a self-directed platform, one of the main compliance concerns we have is that we don't cross into making recommendations for specific securities or specific investment strategies. So financial advisors are typically the industry participants that are giving investment advice. They have a higher duty of care than the broker, that really you're self-directing your own activity as a user. You're really responsible for your own decision-making. Webull is not the one telling you, oh, you should buy Apple. So we wanted to make sure, first and foremost, that the AI wasn't crossing into that space where it was becoming a financial advisor, because that's not our business model and not something we're doing.
Yeah, I see. And there's so much there's so much data nowadays that comes into a client's kind of trade workstation from various different angles, whether it's social media or news sources. So what went into deciding which of these features are, or which of these news sources are reputable enough to include or able to actually be touted as you should read this.
Yeah, absolutely. So the journey definitely incremental as we built out Vega and its capabilities, starting with neutral news sources, so drawing in things like Reuters and other partners that Webull has, and leveraging reputable news channels that we feed into our application. We have also drawn in different information from the internet or from earnings releases. Maybe it's from the SEC's website, those kinds of public filings. So we're looking to bring in good information, not necessarily draw from blogs or less reputable sources.
Mhm.
We're trying to keep it key information, vital information for our users that's coming in almost real time, which we think they don't want to hear about the earnings release from 3 months ago. They're interested in today and how that impacts their options positions, how that impacts their equity strategies. So giving them that real-time information, synthesizing it and producing it through Vega is really a extremely valuable. One of the many hats that Vega can wear is like a trading assistant.
Yeah, yeah. And on that, to that point, my background, the way that I got into the financial industry was I started learning to trade options, and from there started teaching a lot of people how to trade options, taught my family and friends. And I noticed like I would spend hours and hours teaching them exactly what I was seeing, and it was always very difficult for them to either retain everything, because again, there's so much data and it's so kind of spread out, or keeping them from pigeonholing or tunnel visioning on one specific metric. So it's been it's been a wonderful opportunity to be able to take all of those data points and give them in a concise manner, and then pull kind of easier to push the boundary and then pull it back to make sure it's compliant than it is to just kind of give open-ended data with no end.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Wild West. One thing that has benefited Webull is that compliance was the unlikely leader embracing AI in our company. We found many use cases very quickly. Compliance, the way you supervise a broker dealer, you're reviewing samples typically. And with AI, you're able to review everything very quickly. So if I'm looking for, emails from a sales rep that look like they're harming a customer, I would have to use keywords in the past. Now I can use AI to understand the intent of those emails, follow the entire dialogue, and generate instead of sampling 200 out of 2,000, I can look at all 2,000 automatically and draw out. So we, as compliance department, were really kind of on the front foot with how we were leveraging the AI tools within our role. So when we wanted to then kind of flip it and start producing client-facing tools, all of the frameworks around what we're comfortable with, how the data is being handled, what are the supervisory processes to make sure that the AIs aren't going off track. We would had in place. So I think that was a benefit for us to implement, and Finner was a partner with us on that as well.
Yeah, I imagine that is a pretty unique dynamic, being a leader in the technology space, or a leader within a technology company, and also leading compliance, and making sure, again, that the boundaries that we're trying to push don't go too far. Uh,
So many people think that. I find that the product compliance, and especially at a tech company, similar to writing a prompt in an AI, you want the output to be something that you can use. So we want our products to be something that can be used, and having compliance kind of set the requirements, what the rules say, interpreting them is a way that the output, whether it's the front end and the products on our app or the AI, have that kind of built in to their prompt and outputs as checks to make sure that it's not giving non-compliant outputs to our clients.
yeah, we've we've spoken a little bit about the general framework of the Vega as a whole, but let's take a little bit deeper look into some of the features that it actually offers. So currently, we talked about the news sources and how it's able to summarize events, earnings, key movements, whether it's from a FOMC meeting or a company's individual earnings. But as far as the actual metrics go from a trading perspective, What have we had to do to make sure that the metrics we're providing are accurate, but also relevant to a trader's strategy?
Sure, absolutely. And Webull, as Webull users, you're familiar. There's uh, a lot of information that's displayed to you as customer, and all of those data points are either coming directly from market data feeds or through Webull systems to produce variations of those through our own formulas. So when we're working with the AI, and one place that AI has been challenged is around math and doing calculations. So, it's easier to summarize a news article and predict what the next word in the sentence is going to be. Much more challenging to use numbers and do math as a AI. So that we've watched very rapidly as the technology's advanced and have been able to kind of strengthen the Vega's capabilities as the models have gotten better. But the biggest thing we've been doing is really testing ad nauseum on before we're releasing a new iteration. It's running through dozens of testers doing hundreds of cases, and we've got the spreadsheets filled with comments and people looking for ways to either break or find gaps in
Hmm.
the analysis.
Hmm. And we've seen a pretty big increase in the amount of users that are visiting these pages, specifically the option strategist piece, which is no secret. That's my favorite part of the Vega offering. So we've seen a big increase in users that are taking a deeper look at the option statistics. Do we have any way or any plan to develop a way to kind of put a prove it type of um, do we have any way to show that users are benefiting from it? Their trades are doing better, they're trading more frequently or buying less risky positions?
So we are continuing to develop Vega and its capabilities. And I think the last, wave of updates were really portfolio analysis and behavioral analysis type of capabilities, where Vega is now looking at a client's, if it's prompted to look at their activity. Are they trading? What's been successful for them? What products are they having success with? What are some options or different equities or ETFs that might fit with what their strategy is? And we're very careful not to cross into the recommendation line, but we are helping to analyze the client's activity. Are their investments in line with their profile? Are they actually not behaving the way they think they want to behave? And it's a way to kind of identify a gap in behavior versus expectation for them.
That's a great point. I'm glad you brought that up. Um, the main advantage that I think we have as a brokerage firm in the AI space is the personalization of the data that we can analyze through the output, right? So it's very easy to say, hey, ChatGPT, what is Tesla going to do? Or what does the chart look like in Tesla? But it's not so easy to compare on a very granular level. How can I, in my current situation, apply a trade to take advantage of what Tesla's going to do? And Vega's very powerful with the way that it can understand your current situation and what is a possible path forward depending on the sentiment that you're deriving. So, not necessarily Tesla's going to go up, you should buy it right now, but more you already hold Tesla. Maybe you should consider some covered calls on your position to increase the amount of income you're receiving, or maybe you can buy a put to protect yourself from downside if it continues to fall. The amount of information that we can offer through AI output specific to clients' current situations is incredible.
Yeah, and I think that's where the AI is able to scale the kind of expertise around those products, and we've taken a very strong approach with education and the ability to look at the individual, their profile, their investment experience, also their trading history, their financial situation, and then have the Vega giving feedback based on those parameters is a something that might be at a service that is not available to the average retail investor. but it is something that allows them to gain a lot of education in the financial space, whether you're just getting started and you want to learn a little bit about ETFs, or you're farther along the chain and you're getting into more complex option strategies. Like you're saying, if you're trying to generate income, maybe there are strategies you can think about that you aren't doing today that you can take advantage of. So Vega will give different guidance based on the individual and kind of help them with their financial education and gaining education there.
Yeah, that has been one of the more difficult aspects of developing Vega is what are the pre-prompted questions that we should put into the user's response. So if I'm asking what is a head and shoulders on a chart, it can not only give me that, but what is the next thing that a client should be asking if they see a head and shoulders, or if Vega can point out a head and shoulders that they may not see themselves. Who cares? What's the point? What am I going to do to take advantage of that situation? Um, kind of people don't know what they don't know, so how do we give them the answers to the questions that they don't know they need to ask in the first place?
Yeah, and I think, a lot of as AI has become used across people's daily lives, many of us probably have the experience where you can't ask the AI to write my college essay, or but you can ask for what are some ideas for how to structure an essay about X, Y, and Z, and gives you some options, gives you some things to think about. And Vega operates in a similar way, where it's presenting users with different scenarios that they can then kind of choose their path ahead with what aligns to their needs.
Yeah, not because the market is different every day, and the stocks that you may be looking at are different every day, and additionally, every user's current scenario is different. So I may not trade Tesla the way that you would trade Tesla, but we could even take two totally different sentiments and end up both being profitable.
Absolutely. So the compliance around the kind of individualization of Vega has been a challenge and something we've spent a lot of time focusing on. We started with a variety of approaches and have gotten more sophisticated. Kind of the keywords, the hot words we don't want to touch, don't recommend. So we have a series of words that we never want to use, but we also don't want the sentiment of the communication to be recommendation or um, so that's kind of recommendation, and investment advice is just one of the many concerns you have when you have an AI communicating directly with clients. There's more generic or less compliant. You don't want to have hate speech. You don't want to have the hallucinations. So implementing different, you know, uh, controls and setting a series of more or less rules that the AI is following as it's able to give these like kind of user specific guidance.
Yeah, as I've reviewed people's engagements with Vega, we have a number of power users that you can tell that they're very well versed in using different AI models, and it's pretty cool to see the ways that they try to, manipulate Vega's output and get it to be non-compliant, and it is pretty consistently resistant. It is amazing at blocking all of the noise and focusing on helping traders be more confident in their trading.
So one of our decisions early on in the AI journey was kind of the build or buy, and should we go out and try to build our own LLM and be a from the ground up? And I think one of the decisions we made was no, we're going to leverage the main models, and we're going to work with Amazon and others to use their capabilities. And I think that's quickly proven to be a good strategy where we've benefited as they've implemented improvements on their side. We're able to release enhancements on our side, and our clients are benefiting from that. So that has really benefited across, the client experience. The early days we'll probably look back on as, early internet. Now we have early AI, but the power that we're just seeing month over month or quarter over quarter is pretty tremendous.
Yeah, consistently improving how it's responding to clients and consistently improving the insight that we can get as product developers as far as what our clients are doing well, what they're doing poorly, and what they want to see more of.
I think as you review CRMs or customer inquiries and tickets, we've definitely come across some sophisticated or experienced users who take a good run at cracking our AI and wanted to pretend to be a Dragon Ball Z character or
Yeah.
something else. And uh, I think the fact that we went with some of the larger models, they've held up, and I haven't seen a case out of the many tickets that have been reviewed of us hallucinating in that kind of dramatic a way where we got off the rails. So, it's it only takes one and one client to clip an engagement and put it on Reddit, and then we have a big issue on our hands. But so far, so good. So no,
And
well,
I'll echo that. I think it's very unique how in the AI space there are so many different LLMs that exist, and Vega's powered by a combination of various LLMs, depending on what feature you're using. And to your point about seeing advancements in those LLM technologies, it's pretty amazing that it just continues to evolve on its own. We can give a very firm set of parameters to it, establish guardrails and the framework we want it to run within, but the space is just so rapidly changing.
yeah, and I think that it takes me to like one of our other, decisions early on in AI, and maybe we'll rethink it is just having the one Vega versus do we have multiple agentic personalities? And I think as agentic has now gained a lot of momentum as a concept. It's something we're studying. Do we want to parse out this is your customer service AI assistant versus this is your trading assistant versus something else? So I think as Vega develops, you may see, Vega 2.0 or something that looks like Vega with a new name for a different purpose. You'll have different companions or co-pilots across the app.
That sounds pretty exciting. I have loved looking at the patterns of customer engagement and trying to use that to shape our product roadmap as far as what is being developed and when it's being developed. Because it's, when clients call in or they write in to our customer service team, most of the time it's not just for fun. They're not doing it for no reason or exploring. They have an issue they're trying to solve, and there's generally a sense of urgency. But the AI interactions are usually non-biased, completely just exploratory. I want to know more about this or how I can do that. So I think it gives us a very clear idea of how to shape Webull as a company, as a brokerage firm to our clients, giving them what they want because they're telling us, and there's no problems in the way. There's no obstacles.
Yes, I think the adoption from that side of the Vega perspective, Vega personality or capability was somewhat surprising. How quickly clients began using it for a co-pilot and an assistant, and not a place to I need help with my account. I need a password reset. There was a demand for this engagement to have a conversation, to dig deeper into the market, to understand strategies, to understand earnings, to compare. Vega has the capability to ingest massive amounts of data and do a lot of work for you in a matter of seconds, where clients have seen the power very quickly and jumped on it. So that's been, a pleasant surprise to see just how much engagement we've gotten.
Yeah, it's almost been parabolic. The number of clients using it and how they're using it is just so broad. It's
I think on the compliance side, that also presents challenges. You have to scale supervision. The data privacy concerns have been there from jump. We are an enterprise. We're an enterprise user of the different models that we're accessing. So everything stays within the walls of Webull, but it's a lot of information. It's a lot of data. It's information about even some user activity as far as trading. Do we need to ensure that all of that is protected, and it is top priority for us is containing and ensuring that that data does stay within the Webull house and not, being used for training other companies' models. That's not something that's happening, and it's been a focus from day one. We've gotten, the policies in place, our cybersecurity folks involved, just to make sure that we are, putting that customer protection first.
Yeah, and as we expand into other regions with Vega, I know we recently launched Vega in Australia. What has been some of the challenges faced by trying to adapt the output to stay compliant in other regions?
Absolutely, and it's a great question. We have 14 different regions that Webull's operating in globally. The U.S. is our largest, but we are growing quickly in the other areas, and they're leveraging a lot of the development work that happens in the U.S. Vega's a great example. We've seen one of the challenges is if I'm in the U.S. and we initially wrote a set of rules that the prompts should never, or the outputs should never violate. When you're in a different country, the terminology, the rules, they're the same. They're not the same. They're different. So they're all different. And we needed to, build something that was able to be modified in a way that essentially you are plugging and unplugging US, controls or Australia controls. In the US, maybe I never want to use the word recommendation. I never want the AI to say, here's an instruction, your output should never contain a recommendation. But if the rules in Australia are different, or if our Australian affiliate has a financial advisor license, we don't want the AI to follow those same rules. So to kind of break out the prompt instruction to the AI and the supervision and controls around it has had the local compliance specific. The same goes for the data privacy. We've had to have local compliance with local rules, understanding the output. They've been able to draw on the overall framework that's been put in place in the US, but the different region-specific pieces had to come into play.
Yeah, totally understand. Jack, I only have one more question for you. As we expand the overall product offering of Webull, we recently have launched crypto, and we're very quickly trying to ingrain ourselves as pioneers in that space. And we've got prediction markets that have overlap with certain trade-specific strategies like 15-minute 15-minute markets on crypto and indices, as well as sports. What are you finding to be the most challenging to adopt with new product lines and Vega's capability in them?
I think Vega is, one of our key products for the next year. The advancements we've seen in the models, the capabilities around doing computation are parabolic. So how do we leverage AI in a compliant way to deliver our clients with better information real time, to give them more power to consume information and synthesize it? We have an aggressive roadmap ahead on what we want Vega to do for people and be available for them. It's going to apply across the product verticals. So whether it's crypto, whether it's our advisor, we're going to see AI start to apply, or Vega start to be used more in each of those areas.
That's super exciting. I personally use it in my trading every day. It's one of the first things I do is check in with Vega and get either a summary of the earnings of the companies that I've recently been looking at, or to get an overview of the options flow from the day before so I can position myself. And Vega's ability to scale itself alongside me and my growth as a trader is it's been incredible to be a part of.
It's been exciting to work on it with you so far, Dakota, and the future is bright. So looking forward to the next chapter in Vega and the roadmap there.
Cheers to that. Great design and strong compliance ultimately serve the same goal, helping our traders be more informed, more confident, and protected in their trading. I hope you enjoyed our segment today on Beyond the Horns. Let us know how you're using Vega and what products you'd like to see it integrated with next.